Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I thought sequestration was a backstop to have responsible government, not to make it painful to the American people, but to have responsible government. And I think that is the first thing that I'd like to address, the gentlelady. But my question for you is, Mr. Young, is this the first time that we've gone through sequestration?
No, sir. I believe that there were sequestrations in the late 1980s and perhaps in 1990.
Let me ask you a question. Did you think it was going to go through?
Well, we certainly realized that it was a potential, yes, sir.
How about you, Mr. Sastry?
We also thought there was a potential that it would go through.
You know, my understanding is it's a two-way street, that you can also ask Congress in regards to making these cuts a little bit different. Is that not true, Mr. Sastry? It's a two-way street in communication in regards to sequestration, is it not?
The sequestration law itself had very limited flexibility.
But you can ask Congress to give you that flexibility, can you not?
We can request reprogramming.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Did it ever come from your agency? It didn't. How about you, Mr. Young?
Yes, sir.
You actually wrote a letter in regards to this?
The Secretary did just sign a letter this morning with regard to transferring some funds within our Farm Service Agency.
No, but I'm asking you, did you petition Congress in regards to having some more flexibility within the agency?
We do.
You didn't. How about you, Mr. Robbins?
As I mentioned earlier, the FCC only really has one account, and so transferring funds is not the same issue for us.
Right.
Would the gentleman yield for 1 second?
Sure.
Just Mr. Young and Mr. Sastry, have you responded to Chairman Issa's letter asking you for ways that maybe we could work together and give you more flexibility? Have either of you responded to that letter?
I do know we've received it and we're working on it, but we have not yet responded.
Have not, even though you've had 20 months to get ready for this, Mr. Young?
Sir, we're also in the process of putting together the response
Okay,
for that.
thank you. Yield back.
I appreciate the Chairman. Let me ask you, Mr. Sastry, you're from OMB, right? Previous experience?
Previously, yes.
And do you follow the publication?
I'm sorry, which?
Do you look over OMB and waste, fraud, and abuse within the agencies? Do you follow that at all? Have you looked it up recently?
The report from OMB on waste, fraud, and abuse? I have not read that recently.
I'm going to kind of pinpoint something for you. And you know, OMB actually looked at the prevailing wage, and when they did an audit of the prevailing wage, more commonly known as Davis-Bacon, there was a 100% error rate in the calculations of it. And I want workers to be paid fairly. The majority of them were overpaid heavily on programs, but a lot of them were not paid adequately. Do you know that if we recalibrate the prevailing wage, which is, I think, very prominent in commerce, I know it's very prominent in agriculture. I don't know about you, Mr. Robbins, but you save tens of billions of dollars. So what I'd like you to do is look within your agencies to see that cost savings and report back to the committee if we actually took and calculated the prevailing wage appropriately. Because I think it's a very poignant aspect in regards to OMB that could give us a lot of savings. But I'm also going to ask you, you know, I'm a private sector person, and when you look at budgets, I mean, you got to look at things that work and things that don't. You're always, and Mr. Robbins, I want to compliment your stewardship of the taxpayer dollars. But I find it disdainful when we're not looking at programs and looking at managing those monies much better. Mr. Young, did you ever run a private business, sign the front end or back end of a paycheck?
I'm sorry, sir, the question again?
Did you run a private business?
I have not run a private
How about you, Mr. Sastry?
No, I have not run one.
I'd like to, you know, hopefully we get some more principles of understanding in regards to, you know, public accountability of the public tax dollars. Mr. Speaker, I'll just yield back the balance of my time.